You were the chosen one! It was said that you would destroy the Sith, not join them! Bring balance to the Force, not leave it in darkness!
This is my first lore video in a while, and that's because I've been writing the script for my ultimate video, the Beginner's Guide to Deepwoken Lore. While I was writing that script, I realized just how hard an eventual timeline video would be. There are countless plot holes within the long tapestry of Deepwoken lore, and, well, I've never really discussed them. No, it's not because I'm some sort of shill for Arch and the lore team. I have no idea why people think this. I've just simply never felt a need to cover the weak points in the game's lore. Well, the game's on a decline, so here we are. Today we discuss every plot hole I could get my hands on, starting with the newest weapon in the game and moving all the way to a statement from one of the developers themselves. Trust me, I'll be poking more holes in this story than you probably thought possible. Before I get into that, remember to like the video and subscribe. Yes, that's a thing that people should do. The more reach that these videos get, the more they directly impact Deepwoken's lore, and trust me, the game needs it right now, okay? Which is what we're about to get into. Regardless, thank you for all the support, as always. With that out the way, let's dive back into the lore and resume from where I left off a month ago. That feels good to say again, doesn't it? Right, so let's start with a recent addition to the game, the Guiding Star Bow, the first weapon in its class. This bow was previously leaked through Chime of Conflict, instead being labeled under Arania, however you pronounce that. It's been many months now, and the bow has finally returned to the game, officially with a new name and coat of paint. My typical approach with content like this is to make a video covering all the lore, but I did try to do the same with this weapon, don't get me wrong. But basically everything fell apart. I've even offered wild theories like Myrrh being fictional in my Soulbreaker video, a theory the developers seem to have actually adopted into the lore glossary, but this one felt out of my hands. The lore for the Guiding Star goes like this. The children of Neve have a system of trials, presumably to become a full-fledged member of the Nomads. Think of it as a coming-of-age ritual, something a lot of cultures worldwide still practice to this day. This trial involves the participant hunting a wolf blindfolded, obviously using only their other senses besides sight to track this wolf in question. If the wolf lays a mark on them at any point before the participant kills the wolf, well, you fail the trial. What failing the trial means is uncertain, but to help you, you're granted the Guiding Star to hunt this wolf. The bow itself fires ether arrows that are guided by the wielder's will. The Guiding Star apparently contains the voices of prior trial winners. Whether this is because they're dead or echoed through the bow is, once again, uncertain and not elaborated on. So, this lore seems fine and dandy, right? What's the issue here? Well, think about it. If this bow is exclusively wielded by participants in this Nevean trial, how the hell do we get our hands on it? Well, we intercept someone presumably partaking in the trial, defeating them and then taking their bow for ourselves. Seems pretty selfish, don't you think? Well, it goes far deeper than that. The only way you can encounter this NPC is by accepting a job offer from a number of different factions in the Eastern Luminant, specifically Summer Isle and Starswept Valley. Why on earth would these factions want us to kill some random NPC partaking in a Nevean ritual? Now, I don't know. Now that I've made that clear, take a look at this NPC. Do you see anything strange? Well, you should, because this NPC is popping fucking sightless beam. The NPC that is meant to have no sight is a blind seer. Now, what's wrong with this? Here's a screenshot of my blind seer slot. You see anything? I'm sure you can, because I can see. Now there's a possibility that blind seer simply grants pseudo-sight made up from enhanced senses, but that has never been stated anywhere. If that's the case, it still doesn't explain Summer Isle and Starswept Valley hiring you to murder some random guy partaking in the Nevean coming-of-age ritual. Nor does it explain why the NPC talks like he's been in the 7th circle of hell for his whole life when you finally grip him. Now, you could say that he's simply gone rogue and lost his mind during the trial, but he's holding the Guiding Star. If this NPC has gone MIA with this bow, it means there's either a bunch of Guiding Stars in circulation for some ungodly reason, Or the Nevaeans just let some random madman walk away with their generational ether bow? In fact, if the latter's true, that now means that we have the Nevaean ceremonial bow, and we're just evaporating decades of tradition by killing this guy for no reason. Who thought of this? Well, it turns out Archmage thought of this. Can I be honest? I don't really have any words. Let's just move on. Yeah. Now, enough on the bow. You get the point. The lore clearly wasn't considered when this weapon was added to the game. Either that or it was rushed to high heaven. Regardless, that's not the only plot hole I'll be covering in this video. For the next two, let's head straight to the depths and discuss why on Earth Seltor is defying all logic and reason. You see, Seltor's been drowned, right? Well, how is the city basically completely intact? I mean, it's been dive-bombed by a gigantic sea monster so incomprehensible that it's simply referred to as the Seltorian Horror. The Seltorian Horror is so large the devs said they couldn't put it in the game because it wouldn't fit in a boss fight. The damn city was dragged by that thing straight through the boundary into the depths, and you mean to tell me it's completely fine? No cracks, no rubble, no nothing? And that's not even the most confusing part. How are these guards still alive? Maybe they're not alive, maybe in suspended animation or something. These guys should be dead. And if they're meant to be something like the voices in the Depths trial, why don't they attack us? These guards are basically cosmetic zombies that break lore continuity. Now bear with me here, because now it's time to pivot once more. For the next loophole, we'll have to go back in time. That's right, we're talking about the Cataclysm, Deepwoken's golden age. Specifically, the process by which the world drowned. You see, when songworkers overused the song during the Cataclysm, it caused the world to sink deeper into the depths. While this was happening, the lands people were settling on were obviously flooding and being lost below the waves, forcing people upwards. This brings us to the Adrets. The Adrets were mountain settlers, and as they settled so high, the civilizations were largely spared from the tides. However, because of the survival of their settlements, they were subject to a massive influx of people fleeing the wrath of the tides and the drowning, obviously to survive. This suddenly placed the Adrets in a position of unimaginable influence, as these Adrets now had complete access to all of the remaining humans on the world. Basically, probably something like 90%. Stay with me here. The Adretian Empire tells us that the only lands to survive the tides were high up mountain territories. However, this is where the plot hole comes into play. Take a look at this island. Tell me, does this resemble mountainous land to you? Not even close? Yeah. Take Arisia, or Etris, or Aratel, or any of these islands. There's not many that actually resemble the landscape nearing the top of a mountain, unless you mean to tell me that you'll find the ecological climate of Songseeker at the top of Mount Fuji. In fact, there aren't actually any mountain peaks in-game. So, the game's landscape makes no sense, Seltor literally cannot age and is somehow indestructible, and the new bow's obtainment breaks lore continuity. Could it get any worse? Yes. Yes it can. What if a plot hole came straight from the source, straight from a dev themselves? Well, guess what? We have Ragusa, the owner of the game themselves. In a statement on Discord, Ragusa stated that most Celestials aren't as strong as a drowned god. This implies that there are Celestials as strong as the drowned gods. I'll let that settle in for a moment. Right, so we know that drowned gods could simply end reality on a whim if they were to ever wake up, right? This statement now introduces the concepts of Celestials that are just as powerful as this, which leaves us with one question. Well, where the fuck are they? If you don't know, Celestials have been pushed away from their homes in the stars by some force we don't really know of yet, and their capital city Constellia has also been invaded by forces from the depths, spearheaded by Etheron, a drowned god. So what are these godly Celestials actually doing? If they're not intervening with these celestial matters, what's the purpose of their existence? Unlike the drowned gods who are slowly drowning the world, they're doing something. These super celestials have no established goal, have no influence on the story, and if they're actually real, sit in some pocket dimension watching their entire species get ripped to shreds and negative diffed by Kier sieges. They're useless, cosmetic, and have zero reason to exist. Unless these super celestials are somehow playing an important part in the plot of the game, they only exist to tear a hole in the continuity of Deepwoken lore. This is my least favorite developer message in the history of the game, and it's pretty likely that it'll remain that way for a very, very long time. The reason I'm bringing these up isn't because I'm looking for an excuse to harp on the devs about their lore. I understand that it's difficult to maintain a massive story like this. I get it. I really do. But I think it's about time we retire the process of having 90% of the game's lore be contained in Discord messages that are locked in channels that take roles and oh my god. Half the time these messages are locked behind roles you likely will never obtain, meaning the game's lore is unsolvable for so many members of the community. Hell, I have all the roles and I can't do it, so how the hell are they meant to do it? It's just not how the lore should be maintained at all. On the bright side, Hort Desert, Hout Desert, Marmot Guy, a developer responsible for lore and outfits who's recently become more vocal with the community, has expressed their desire to keep their lore in-game. Progress is progress, and I'm happy we're actually getting somewhere. This will hopefully be the last video like this that I make, and the first simultaneously, and it's not because I like covering for the developers, it's because I'd rather make theories that fill the void left by half-assed lore than simply dwell on it and do nothing. That's the most boring thing I could possibly do, but this video had to get made sometime. I haven't uploaded in a month. I gotta pay the bills. The kids are hungry. You can't have the good without the bad. Regardless, I'm done here. Thank you very much for tuning in as always. Remember to like, subscribe, and become a channel member if you really want to support me. Until next time, it's your Lore God clocking out. Peace. God loves you. And I'm about to make a crazy video on the Lumen Splitter. Oh my god, if they don't add this description, they better have a Lumen Splitter description in like the next 5 days, or I'm gonna drop a crazy video. I swear to god, I hate these devs.